I wonder if you could tell a story about the clinic, maybe something that happened while you were setting up the clinic that you think would be interesting and inspiring for people to hear.
Well, when we were there, we actually started a YouTube channel, and we did a Chiro Cribs episode. So did you see it? No,
I didn't watch it, but I did definitely.
You can go there. So when we were in India, we had, of course, most of our patients had absolutely no financial ability to pay us, which was totally fine. And I always tell a story how if 10 people show up in the clinic, maybe one of them can afford the $2 adjustment that we charged. And $2 was a significant fee for the majority of the people that were in the village or town that we were in.
60 rupees.
And so I always tell people, I say, if they couldn't pay for it and you were hungry, they'd give you food, right? So we had people that would bring us food.
Yeah.
We had more mangoes than we could eat because, one woman paid us in mangoes, and we called her Mango Mama. So she would bring us a bag full of mangoes 2 times a week. And we'd be like, oh, these mangoes are you can't get a mango like that in the United States.
No, you can't.
And if you need a place to stay, of course, you adjust someone and they'll give you a place to stay. Right? We had, everywhere we went in India, we always had a place to stay because we'd meet a few people, and we met some more wealthy individuals, and we started adjusting them, and then we'd tell them we were traveling, and they go, perfect, I know exactly where you're going to stay. And you go, really? Well, yeah, they hook you up with a place to stay. And then, of course, finances do come into play because you need to buy a plane ticket, you need to travel, and as soon as you have no money, you find someone to adjust, and then they give you money. So everything that you ever could possibly need disappears when you're a chiropractor, because people will love you for the service that you provide them with. They'll feed you. They'll give you a place to stay if you ever need a place to stay. And they'll give you money for your service if they can afford to. And they'll give you more money than we could ever possibly know what to do with if we just stay true to the principle of the service. But so many funny and amazing things happened in India. We saw our first miracles, of course, in India. We lived and set up a clinic in the same house. So it was our full-time residence, and then the downstairs was the clinic. We had an amazing translator who was with us every single day, and he traveled with us on the weekends. He spoke beautiful English.
We pretty much educated everybody by a picture that Andrew had drawn.
I drew a nice picture.
He drew a nice picture of basically a power plant, an electrical line, and a light bulb, and it would explain chiropractic to Ashok, who was our translator, and Ashok would explain it back out to the family, and we would rattle something off, and I don't know what he's saying.
We had no idea what he was saying.
But I'm guessing he would rattle.
But we had
off.
the picture that had the power plant, the electrical wires going out of the power plant, and then a light bulb at the end. And we explained that this is your brain. These wires are the signals and the nerves and the brain stem. And so we drew that. And then he said, and this light bulb is your organs or your cells or your tissues. And there was a little light switch in the middle. And I said, if the light switch is turned off, then the body doesn't work. And if the light switch gets turned on, then everything works. And people would just look at it and they go,
sounds good.
Why is it's that easy? And I'm like, yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah. So I think the picture of the light bulb and an Americ chart.
And then we had a Americ chart.
We might have had one more, but that's pretty much how we educated every single person that came in.
But the truth is that even when we were traveling, we never adjusted someone without educating them.
True.
Even when we, were hiking around and we had the Sherpa, we always would pull our Americ chart out and explain to them how the body worked, and that we were going to give them a specific chiropractic adjustment, and we were going to turn their light switches back on.
Yeah.
It was we just made a deal where we're always going to educate people on what we're doing.
Yeah. So how does your current education procedure at your office in Oregon reflect maybe those early drawings or those early experiences that you had in India?
That's funny. We do, from, like Andrew said, from that very first phone call, it's already trying to maybe shake their paradigm up a little bit. And then after they come in that first day and we sit down together, and one of the first things I tell them is that I said, I read over your application for care, and I know that you think I'm going to ask you about where it hurts, what makes it better, what makes it feel worse. And I always say, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to my first impression from your body. And then I go through how I'm going to look at palpation, how I'm going to do posture, and then I take them through that before we even discuss any sort of symptom whatsoever. So I think doing that and just letting them know that I want to see what their body tells me first.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is educational, because I don't think very many people go to the doctor and get touched right out of the gate. And then from there, we never adjust anybody on the first day. After we have all the information about them, they always have to come back for that second day. And that second day we sit down and we do their report of findings. And I mean, it's an educational class. So they have to sit through that. And by the time they stand up to look at their x-rays or to look at their insight scans, I mean, all right, what do you see here? What looks good? What doesn't look good? Where does that go? Read on that chart. And so that they start connecting the dots themselves. I don't necessarily want to tell them what's going on or what all could be affected, but I'm more than willing to ask them, hey, how could this affect your life or your life force or your life energy? How could that affect you or your family or those that you live with? I mean, all of these things start coming together. And then from there, anybody that's a patient in our office, we teach class every Tuesday night. So every Tuesday night, we teach a class. 52 different subjects. We'll go through a whole gamut, but they have to sign up for a class if they're going to be a patient in our office. And the first month that they're here, they have to go to 2 classes, and then they have to go to 1 per month thereafter. They at least have to stay in the conversation.
Yeah. They got to stay in the conversation of education. So when we built this clinic, Noah, we really wanted it to be about the education, because even BJ said this, BJ said, charge for the education and give them the adjustment for free. And that's why our Western medical system's broken, because there's no education. They'll save your life in a moment of crisis or a heart attack, but then they won't do anything after they've saved your life to ever prevent it from coming back, which is why most people, when they're stuck in that system, they're in it until they're no longer with us. So we really wanted to carry that educational tool, and our whole office is education. We joke around, there's not ducks flying over ponds on pictures on our walls. Every picture is a chiropractic related life picture. And from the second they walk into the clinic for their adjustment, the whole conversation, we strive to make every conversation about them healing in chiropractic. And
we have one picture, but it's us at an orphanage. It's us at an orphanage, and it's put up on the wall in the new patient room. So even when they come in, I was like, oh, we spend our weekends adjusting at orphanages. So even with that, they're like, kids? Why are you adjusting kids?
Yeah.
So even with that, I'm like, I'm going to justify this one.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love how your whole process, like the whole education process, then puts the responsibility in the patient's hands and empowers them in a way that they're taking more control, taking more charge of their health, because you're just providing the information, and then they're able to, digest that in their own unique way and then make decisions that reflect the way that they've digested that information. I think that's so perfect.
I mean, everyone's got to make a mental choice whether or not they're willing to receive the gifts that we have to offer. I mean, it's our job to give them the opportunity to see something new that they've never had the opportunity to explore. But then once we do the best that we can, the patient has to make the mental choice whether or not they're ready for it. And It's the truth. And that's why, as chiropractors and as chiropractic students, we have to keep the conversation about education, because this is a paradigm shift that we're asking of most people. And most people cannot make a belief change in their life, right? Some people have wrote beautiful pieces on this. The The average person might be able to change 1 or 2 major belief systems in their entire life. And when a new patient calls my office, my whole team, we're going to do everything we can to potentially have to transform their belief system from a broken model into a vitalistic wellness model. And it has to start on the phone, and then it has to continue for potentially the rest of their life, because we want people to get adjusted for the rest of their life, because they're going to be better if they are. So
yeah, turn the lights on, right? I mean,
turn the lights on, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got the picture to prove it.
Yeah.
You just used that picture the other day.
I just used it.
He was literally teaching a vertebral subluxation class, and I was sitting back here, and I'm sitting in class. So
it was at our dinner.
Oh, it was.
I used the picture at our dinner talk last week. Like 30 people in a really fine dining restaurant.
Yep.
And I pull out the picture, and I'm like, let's keep it stupid simple. This is what it's all about.
I love it. And really, you know, it is that simple, and that's the beauty of it.